There we go. What's up, everybody? This is Glenn Ritter. Welcome to the inaugural episode of Fourth and Fun. So it's kind of a little game show situation we got going on. I got a few insiders here joining me from IE Sports Radio. I in my free time, not on Thursday nights, I am the Minnesota insider for IE Sports Radio. Again, your direct feed for all that is sports. So for today's game show, we've got three insiders here from across the country joining us today. So I'm going to have each of them hop on here, and I'm going to bring them up and then let them introduce themselves and share a little bit about who they are and where they're from. So let's start with, let's bring Brian up here onto the screen. Brian, how are you doing today?
Great, Glenn. Back-to-back inaugural episodes for IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. You might know me from X's Be Mad Dog. I am your IESI New England insider from the Boston area. Obviously, I cover Patriots, Red Sox, Celtics, Bruins, and many colleges and the Revs, and the new NWSL soccer team coming soon. And I'm also the co-host with Mr. Taryn Rodriguez, the SR volleyball and SoCal episode where we call Midweek Mania, where we're going to preview, obviously, summer, it's baseball matchups, but we're going to do NFL matchups in the fall, some college, and even some NHL and NBA once their season start. It's going to be like a primetime face-off. I'm the host of that going forward. So thank you very much, Glenn, for having me on tonight.
Yeah, you're welcome, and I appreciate you letting me help you guys out last night. It was a lot of fun. I got to be the referee kind of in their show as they were facing off and talking about the Red Sox Dodgers series. So next person I'm going to bring to the screen is somebody that's not related to me, even though we do have the same last name. Josh Ritter, how you doing?
Good. We got that Ritter energy going. It's great. So hi, everybody. I'm glad to be here. I'm the eclectic IE Sports Radio insider because I don't follow a region. My teams are everywhere. So I am the Dolphins insider for the NFL. I'm the Phoenix Suns insider, Florida Panthers insider, best team in all of sports right now. A little bit of Toronto Blue Jays, some Oregon Ducks, and yeah, just a little bit of everything. North Carolina Tar Heels basketball. So yeah, I'm all over the place.
Awesome. Well, man, you should get some frequent flyer miles for all of.
By the way, I live in California. Go figure.
And you live in California too. Okay. Wow. They are. That is an eclectic group, and I agree with you about the Florida Panthers. I do think that they are the best team in sports right now. The way that they play hockey is phenomenal. All right, and the third insider joining us is Neil. Tell us about yourself, Neil.
Hey everybody, what's up? Neil Curtis. I am your Carolina sports insider for IE Sports Radio. Tar Heel through and through, the home of college basketball, North Carolina, South Carolina. We also look at Carolina Panthers, MLS, Charlotte FC. We got the Carolina Hurricanes, who unfortunately got handed to them by the Panthers a couple months ago. But we have a good time. Enjoy a lot of the sports. We got a lot of teams to cover. A ton of soccer in the MLS, North Carolina Courage. We got USL teams. We got the Jägermeister Cup. We got it all going on in the Carolinas. It's the best place to be. Unfortunately for me, I live in Tampa, Florida. So definitely in enemy territory down here in Florida. But one day soon, I hope to be back there to sweet Caroline.
All right. Yeah, Carolina. That's some beautiful country out there. Awesome. All right. Well, let's hop into let's see who's on. Let's see. All right. So we got Taryn checking in. Thanks again, Taryn, for posting about the show and getting that tweet out there. So thank you very much. And let's hop into our first quick little again, just going through, we did the introductions, the rules. Again, I'm just going to keep score kind of throughout the show. Whenever somebody has a good point, I got my little notepad here. I'm going to make some notes on that. And
there must be 8 simple rules since there's 2 redders.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. So, first question I had, just a quick icebreaker. What are your thoughts on the WNBA's player substitution, in-game player substitution rule that they used during the All-Star game? Which, if you didn't see, basically the players could exit off the court and another player could come on, all just like hockey line changes as the game is going on. Do you think that's a good idea? What are your quick thoughts on that? Brian, why don't you go first again?
All right. I'll go first on this. It's a pretty interesting rule, I'm not going to lie here, since the WNBA has been growing the past few years. Hopefully they get the profit margin. Well, I know the Connecticut Sun, which is our New England team, had their TD Garden face-off against the Indiana Fever, which is Caitlin Clark's team. But obviously she didn't get to play in the All-Star game. And it was a good opportunity to have players just rotate in randomly. It's very interesting, something that hasn't been done, and they want to be able to separate from their brothers in the NBA because they want to have their own identity. I think it's a great idea because some of these WNBA players have been feuding like it's hockey, whether it's Sophie Cunningham and Reese against Caitlin Clark, even though Cunningham and Clark are on the same team. It creates some dynamic and to create more rivalries between these female and talented athletes. So I think it's a good idea. It's unique. It doesn't hurt because they got to try to come out of ideas out of the box, per se. That's my thought. I think it's innovative, but that's me.
All right, great. Thanks, Brian. Josh, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I hate to be agreeable right out of the box, but I think it's fabulous. I mean, the WNBA needs to do whatever it can to get expand its fan base and do something different that attracts attention. And quite frankly, as a fan of both the NBA and the NHL, I've always wondered what the NBA would look like if substitutions could happen in real time the way they do in the NHL. And, you know, they're thinking outside the box. That's what a company that is trying to be profitable has to do to attract viewership and create buzz. And so I think it's a great idea. You know, not to talk about what happened pregame with the shirts on there. You can go back to my post on that. But I love this idea. I think this was great. And for the league to be thinking outside the box and trying something different is absolutely what they have to do, because what they've been doing the last 25 years hasn't really gotten enough traction. So I think it's great.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree. I think, like you said, more eyes that we can get on the game, it'll be better. Neil, why don't you share your thoughts as well?
Hey, I think I'll go ahead. I'll be the one who disagrees here.
Right.
I think it's a terrible idea. I think it's pretty much attention grab type of move here. I'll be a little hot take-ish, I guess. A little bit of an attention grab type of move, trying to stir up some buzz, get things going, I guess. And that's all well and fine. I guess it kind of reminds me of the NFL Pro Bowl game switching to like a flag football type format. It's just it's a little too cheeky for me. It's like, play the game, play it well, put a good product out there, put your best players out there, and do a great job and present something that people want to come in and watch, and try to avoid the gimmicks. I think it's just another gimmick to get people in. I think the game itself is a good game, and people should want to come to watch the game and not watch something kind of, like I said, gimmicky.
Yeah, I can definitely see that point, and that is a good point. I think I understand from one side, getting everybody's eyes on it. Oh yeah, Taryn didn't even know about that. Not really a whole new rule, just for the All-Star game that they were doing that. But so I can't. Yeah, if you want to be taken seriously, I I understand your point there, Neil, about let's just play the game the right way, because I think that's yeah, like I said, if they want to get paid like the men, then maybe that's what they should be doing there, I guess, too. So all right, let's
to Taryn's point, the fact that he did not know that was something is part of the problem that the WNBA has, because if the NBA did that in the All-Star game, everybody would be talking about it.
And there's
Great
all
point.
kinds of media outlets for them, so that's no excuse on their end.
Yeah. So yeah, great points, everybody. All right, let's move on to the biggest letdown of the week. So a couple of options that I threw out in here on the show are, first of all, Dodgers dropping 7 of 10 before yesterday's walk-off win against the Twins. They had been struggling a bit with the highest payroll in all of baseball and all of professional sports. You kind of think that they would be able to do a little bit better there, or also just that Team USA almost lost to Cooper Flag and the select team in a scrimmage. They ended up winning 74-73 thanks to an Anthony Davis block at the end of the game. Which of those do you have something else that would be the biggest letdown of the week? And let's start with Neil this time. Let's go in backwards, opposite order.
All right. I actually will go with something a little bit different here.
Okay.
A little bit more from my neck of the woods on the Panthers side of things. Huge letdown for the Carolina Panthers is training camp. No fans at training camp this year or next year due to, yeah, exactly. What's going on here? What are we doing, Tepper? So traditionally, Carolina Panthers would train at Wolford College, provided a really nice atmosphere there. They were supposed to build an entire new training facility at Rock Hill, South Carolina. That all fell through when Rock Hill had to withdraw funds because of the COVID pandemic, and they needed to allocate money elsewhere. So Tepper just completely pulled out of the Rock Hill situation down there, left basically a 1/2 to 2/3 built facility sitting out there, and decided to start building new facilities right by Bank of America Stadium. Unfortunately, with everything that's going on and all the construction, they can't bring fans in to watch training camp. So no fans, only press, only credentialed media have been allowed in. So they will have a fan fest next week on Saturday, but throughout the next 2 weeks for training camp, no fans out there to watch. You can stand outside at the entrance to try to get your autographs and stuff like that from the players, but as far as getting in there and seeing it for yourself, not going to happen this year, and probably not going to happen next year until they get those buildings complete. So huge letdown if you're a Panthers fan in the area.
Oh yeah, that is disappointing. Great point there. Appreciate that. All right, great job. You got a couple of things there. All right, Josh, how about for you? Anything in your neck of the woods? And anything that is kind of the biggest letdown of the week for you?
First of all, that's completely unacceptable for an NFL franchise. So I feel for you, Neil. Like that's not okay. And that should never happen. But I'm going to go with very recent news. So we're talking in the last hour. It's about an ex-Dolphin. And I'm sorry to do this to you, Larry. I know Larry's not going to love this, but Christian Wilkins being released by the Raiders because they're having a dispute over how he rehabbed his injury. That man was signed for over $25 million a year just last offseason. There was a huge debate about whether the Dolphins were going to retain him. And ultimately, they made the right decision by letting him go because his price tag was humongous. And they just let him go for nothing. And now they're in an arbitration dispute with Christian Wilkins over his contract. Like, how do you mismanage this so poorly that your man who you signed to $100 million plus contract, you're releasing 1 year later? I can't tell you that this is all the Raiders' fault because I don't know what happened behind the scenes with Christian Wilkins' rehab. I don't know if he decided to take the money and quit like some other guys have in the past. It doesn't seem to fit his character, though. I knew this man for 4 years in the Dolphins. He loved the game. He played hard. Something really stinks in Raiders land. And they better get their stuff together because when you sign a guy to that much money and you have to release him 12 months after you sign him, that's not okay.
Wow. So I got to use this sounder here for Larry. All right, sorry. I had not heard that yet. Wow. and because I know the Vikings were definitely interested in him last offseason,
Yeah.
and he picked the Raiders, and it's what can you say? But it's the Raiders, right? I mean, and Larry's
Yeah.
going to be the first one to, I'm sure. Taryn just is shocked by that as well. Yeah, he just reiterated everything that you just said there, Josh. Thanks for sharing that. Brian, how about for you on this category? What's the biggest letdown that you've seen over this last week?
I'll be a little biased and use my teams for example.
Okay.
My biggest letdown, you can say this for any sport, but I got a really excuse reason. Monday night, I was watching the Red Sox Phillies. First off, I don't know if I should blame more on Alex Cora there or the umpires of Major League Baseball for having a game ended on a catcher's interference that wasn't even a swing. And it hasn't happened since legit 1969, I think they said. And that was a brutal way to watch this team lose, especially if you watch my show last night when I was previewing with Taryn about the Red Sox Dodgers. It's a big matchup for us. We went from playing the Nationals and the Rockies, who the only thing the Rockies have to offer in the trade deadline is a 30-pack of Coors. But anyways, it's a big test for the Red Sox. The first three series right off the bat were all leaders in the National League divisions, respectively, from the Cubs in the Central, the Phillies in the East, and now the Dodgers tomorrow in the West, one of the best teams in all of baseball, despite them struggling with the Brewers, who were on a 10-game winning streak that got snapped kind of like ours, leading in the All-Star break. The fact that maybe I should be more upset at Cora for having Chapman pitch in the 8th inning, but in reality, they had a new reliever pitch in the 9th that had the bases loaded, and with that catcher's interference, there was no outs in the bases loaded, so maybe it wasn't that controversial. If it were 2 outs, it may have been more controversial, but how do you end a game like that when the guys don't even swing? I thought they could only do catcher's interference when the batters swing and the catcher moves, which Navarez did not. I saw it on my own 2 eyes, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Sox fan. But that's my biggest letdown of the week, because it could have created so much momentum if the game was reversed and the extra innings went longer, because this is a big series for the Sox against the Dodgers. And I'll use the MLB umpiring to get my biggest letdown of the week.
Then they did the next night too.
Yeah.
What was that?
Then they did the next night too. Called it again the next night on when Phillies were stealing home.
Oh no! Again.
Really?
Catcher can't. Yeah, and during the pitch, runner at third came to steal home, and what's his name, Brian, the catcher.
Navarez.
Yeah, Navarez stepped forward to receive the throw to home plate, and he was called blocking the plate because he stepped over and in front of the plate.
Well, yes, but I suppose if the pitcher didn't step off, if it was an actual pitch, was it an actual pitch or did he step off to throw home?
Stepped off.
Did he step off to throw home?
He stepped off to throw home.
Yeah, he did.
Okay. I did not see that one. Sorry, I missed that. But that's that's a crazy play. But I don't understand some of these interference rules. Like I don't know. I mean, when I played, it was like if you had the ball and you're you're making a tag and the player has to go through you to get to the base. Well, that was okay. Now that's interference and the guy's safe. I don't know. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
It's supposed to swing for it to count as interference.
Yeah. But that again, it was a check swing, and it's they're I don't know. They're kind of just grasping at straws, I think, sometimes with some of those plays. So. All right, let's quickly move on to our next question here. Who do you guys have for your midseason MVPs in the American League and National League? Let's see, Josh. We'll start with you this time.
First of all, I'll tell you, Brian. You guys better be looking at those wild card standings because the Jays are up 9-1 at Toronto right now. So, or just at Detroit. Sorry. So they're running away with that division. But I will tell you, for NL MVP, I can't make a case for anybody other than Shohei. So I mean, he's doing everything for the Dodgers. He's the best player on probably the best team in the NL. So I don't know how you give it to anybody but Shohei in the NL. For the AL, as I've said last week on the other podcast I did, I feel like if Cal Raleigh was on the Yankees or the Red Sox or the Angels, no one would be talking about anybody but him for AL MVP. And he's buried up in Seattle. But I'm telling you, he's going to become a household name by the end of the year. The Home Run Derby helped it. I'm going to have to give it to Cal Raleigh in the AL.
All right. Yeah, I can see that. The American League does have some good candidates between Judge, Raleigh, and Bobby Witt Jr. I think is kind of a dark horse. And the National League, I kind of agree. There isn't a whole lot behind Shohei Ohtani. I mean, when I looked it up, I think probably the person with the next best stats is Pete Crow Armstrong for the Cubs. Maybe Juan Soto, but yeah, those are the next two as far as the odds. According to some of the betting sites. But anyway, all right. Let's go. Brian, who do you think who do you got for the American League MVP?
The American League MVP?
Yeah.
Both MVPs are more obvious, but more in the American League. Besides Aaron Judge, Josh kind of stole what I was going to say, Cal Raleigh, because not only are you in the Seattle Mariners, but Julio Rodriguez, whether it's injuries, he's been downgrading the past 2 years, and it's amazing for a catcher to keep hitting all these home runs like he has and is chasing Aaron Judge or maybe even past him for the most home runs in the American League. As a catcher, I may add, when you think of catchers who can hit really good, obviously besides Veritek, you had Mike Piazza in the past, and you had Jorge Posada, who was a great catcher as well. And I'll have to go with Cal Raleigh because he's been killing it in a place where if it wasn't for him, the Mariners would be downgrading in the ALS that has historically the past 5 years been owned by the Houston Astros in a division where you got the Angels and the A's, which can't even have an identity city till the thing is built in MGM in Vegas. So I'd have to give Cal Raleigh, keeps his team relevant. That's the obvious pick for me for the American League.
Yeah, I mean, for him to be sitting with 38 home runs and 83 RBI. I think Judge has 35. So he's ahead of Judge. And Judge was hitting over 400 for probably the first month or two of the season, but he's dropped off quite a bit. Now he's, my notes are 355. But anyway, how about National League? Who do you got there, Brian?
Oh, for the National League? It's going to be a dark horse. Well, if you've been following baseball, the current face of USA is Paul Skeens. Obviously, he's married to Livy Dune, one of the great athletes and supermodels. But he's on a Pittsburgh Pirates team that's taken a downgrade. I know Ralph can relate to this, being our Pittsburgh insider. He's 5-8. I know the record's not the greatest, but he has one of the lowest ERAs in 1.31 on a team and a division that contains the Milwaukee Brewers and Christian Yelich and the Chicago Cubs, who have Pete Crow Armstrong, Suzuki, and Ian Happ killing it for the teams, and the Reds as well with Avoto. So that's a pick for me, is Paul Skeens. And he would definitely be the obvious choice if the Pirates were a great team, or if he was on the Dodgers. Obviously, Ohtani could be an easy answer. Or the Phillies, Mets, and one of the Cubs or Brewers, he would get more recognition. But because he's on a team that hasn't had a passionate baseball base like they do for the Pittsburgh Steelers, waving the terrible towel, I'll go with Skeens.
All right, that is a bold choice. I can see it for the for the Cy Young because again how great he's pitching, but boy, yeah. And you mentioned if he was playing for the Dodgers, yeah. If he was playing for the Dodgers, he'd be 15-0 because they can't. The Pirates can't hit for him. So I'll give you a little applause there. Off the board choice there. It wasn't anyone that I had in my notes, so I appreciate that. All right. How about you, Neil? What are your thoughts on the American League or National League
Hey, I'll think. Let's see. Sorry, you're breaking up a little bit. You got me still. Okay, great. Yeah, I think I'll make it a clean sweep here for our Cal, and put his name in. I am one of these people who, to me, most valuable player is the guy who, if you take them out of the team, what happens to the team? And as it was alluded to, I think if you take Cal out of that lineup, Seattle falls drastically. Like right now, they're sitting in a playoff spot, got a wild card playoff spot. To their credit, I think without him, they're not even in there. They're probably almost certainly sellers at the deadline. So I think you got to put Cal right up there at the top of that list.
Okay. How about for the National League?
Yeah, switch side. I think I'll go back to Ohtani, man. He's just dominating everything. He's got the Dodgers. I know, again, if you probably took him off, maybe in that situation, Dodgers would still would still remain relevant, still be a powerhouse over there. But just the way he plays the game, the way he can play both ways, I think that really just kind of sets him apart from anybody else in the National League.
All right. Yeah, great choices. I think one player that I'm surprised at what the betting odds are for him is Ronald Acuna Jr. Coming off that ACL injury, he's only been back for a month, but he has been just roping the ball since he returned. So, 1.047 OPS, stealing bases. Yeah. And the odds are going up for him. So it's kind of crazy that's happening. So
it's tough when you're not a good team, though. It's really tough.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the same thing with Skeens too, right? He's a great player on a bad team. So
obviously, I didn't want to just say Judge or Ohtani.
Well, no, yeah, and you definitely got some points for that on my little scorecard here. So thinking outside the box is awesome. All right, so I got one last question. Just some headlines that nobody is talking about. What are your thoughts on the NHL potentially moving to an 84 game season? Anybody who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right, Brian.
So, as it's easy for me to say because Pete and you too, Glenn, because we're in states where hockey is very, very popular, right? And there are people that just want to. Larry had a tough time getting an insider before me because all people want to talk about was the Bruins. But that wasn't a good time to talk about them because I don't want an extra 2 games of misery if we're going just this season because 82 is a perfect amount. 41 on the road, 41 at home. You got some outdoor games with the Winter Classic and Stadium Series, which is awesome. But hockey, if this included the Olympics or the Nations Face-Off that replaced the All-Star Game, which was phenomenal with the fights and everything. I loved every second of it, and I can speak for many people, even non-hockey fans on that one. People would be more inclined to support an 84-game season, but these guys don't need the money. 82 is perfect. You guys, they played in seasons where they lost every single game in 2006, half a game season like 10 years later. They survived those kind of revenue drops, and we want an 84-game season where people can't get into the regular season, where they soften the rules up and won't let teams like the Bruins and Canadiens fight it out. Are you kidding me? I am not supportive of it, where we all look forward to playoff hockey, because we finally got excited for, no offense, Josh, Florida, Edmonton, Stanley Cup, which I said in our chat, if this were 20 years ago, I would have probably told you I'm probably not going to watch it. Who supports that team in Florida? But I went to the Bruins-Panthers game last year, and the Panthers have a lot of fans. They've grown their fan base, and it's not just people in Canada that automatically treat hockey prime time on Saturdays like we do Sundays for the NFL. So I am against an 84-game season. It is not needed, especially when there's locker room drama in Boston the beginning of the year, led Montgomery to either get fired or walk away, and Marchand to get traded. You're welcome, Josh. So in a painful season, it's easy for me to say no to an 84-game season. But even if the season grew really good 2 years ago before the first round against the Panthers, where we had a historic season, I would still say no. So I am going to go a hard no on an 84-game season, and that's my final answer.
All right. Yeah, I'm there with you too. And sorry, I'm just going to jump in real quick, just to, because I want to kind of dovetail on off that, I guess. Players are already, breaking down, having injuries. They're not going to extend the season to add these 2 extra regular season games. So is it going to cut down the start the season earlier? I don't think they're going to do that. They can't go any later because the finals end like 2 days before the draft. So where are they going to put those 2 games in? They're going to have to condense some things, really have a lot of back-to-back games, which isn't going to be good.
This year where it's an Olympic year and they're taking a long break.
Yeah. And I agree about the Four Nations face-off. That was phenomenal. All right. Neil, you want to jump in there next?
Yeah, no, I think I'd agree there with Brian the whole way. Like, it's pretty simple, just like you said. I don't think we need 2 more games to, have guys get the crap beat out of each other and risk that injury, risk that chance for getting a playoff. Once you get down to 82, I think you pretty much know who you got going in to playoffs. You know who their favorites are. So 2 more games, I don't think is going to tilt the scale one way or the other as far as the game itself is concerned. And maybe you bring in a little bit more revenue, but grabbing for money, I don't think is ever really the best answer there.
All right. Yeah, I agree. There we go. Let's do another ding, ding, ding. There we go. All right. Josh, you got anything else to add? Any disagreement with this?
82.
It's your Florida Panthers are so good.
82, 84, 465, 32. It doesn't matter. When we get to the playoffs, we all know who the best team is. It's just another 2 games to rest our guys when we're comfortably in the playoffs. We'll be a 3 seed in our division. No one will care because when we get to the playoffs, you got to beat us 4 out of 7 times. Every team in the NHL knows they can't do it, and it doesn't really matter. But that's my Florida Panthers take. Now, I'm a manager in a major company, one of the top 10 companies revenue-wise in the world, and I can tell you, at the end of the day, all sports, like every business, is about money. And they're doing the same thing that the NFL's doing. The NFL traded 1 preseason game for 1 regular season game. And they're about to trade a second preseason game for a second regular season game. Preseason games don't generate revenue. Regular season games do. And at the end of the day, the NHL is all about generating money. And people go to regular season games. So this is about giving every single arena 1 more home game every year. And so from that standpoint, to raise the salary cap, to raise interest in the league, to get that bigger money deal, I understand why the owners are doing it. And quite frankly, does it move the needle? Not really, because the veterans don't play towards the end of the regular season when they've made the playoffs already anyway. So I'm in favor of it.
All right. That was a good answer. All right. All right, let's take a quick little break here. We'll come back in just a couple of minutes and go through some more questions. When we come back, we'll talk about some NFL position battles, I think, that are going to be good here in training camp. And then I have I got a little trivia question, some trivia questions for these guys too. So we'll be back in just a couple of minutes after some words from our sponsors. And let's go to those. I gotta go. Sorry, I gotta go back to my. Oh, this is not a good transition here, is it? All right. Sorry, guys. Anyway, just wanted to get into.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right. Welcome back to Fourth and Fun. First, want to give a shout out to our sponsors. They're Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. I always have to have some of that in my desk at work and one here at home. So I just ordered some more today. So definitely check them out. Pure Premium Beef Brisket Jerky. Absolutely fantastic. So let's bring everybody back here onto the stage. Hopefully you guys are ready to go for the next section here, next segment. So I want to talk about some, and also for all of you, all those viewers out there, I want your votes on this one too. So first of all, who is going to be the Cleveland Browns starting quarterback when the regular season kicks off here in about a month and a half, month and a week or whatever? So we've got Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, or Shedeur Sanders. Who do you think is going to be the starting quarterback? Neil, you want to lead us off?
Yeah, sounds great, man. So if they're smart, I think they'll start off with Joe Flacco. Your first few games, help them get their feet under them. Give Shedeur a little bit of time out there, maybe playing games. But if they're smart, they'll bring Shedeur along, slowly get him introduced, give him a little bit of time on the sidelines, watching a veteran like Flacco go. 2 seasons ago, he ran that Browns offense really well. I think he could get back out there, run it well, show Shedeur how it goes. And then if you really want to have a competition with Gabriel, that's fine too. But I think it could probably be, kind of a great future backup / trade piece. You got Kenny Pickett in the wings just in case something happens to Flacco. He is getting pretty old, but I think you start off with Flacco and then eventually you bring in Shedeur as your future starter.
So do you see them keeping all 4 on the 53-man roster to start the season, or does somebody potentially get traded? Does Kenny Pickett get released, or kind of do they keep 2 rookies on their 53-man?
Yeah, again, if they're smart, they'll probably have Pickett as trade bait or a release candidate sooner rather than later. I watched him a lot. I watched him a good amount at Pitt. The whole late in his college career blow out, and then his time at Pittsburgh really didn't impress me. And even his time at Pitt, watching him go up against UNC, not where he had that great season, but still not overly impressive, to be honest. So I don't see Pitt or Kenny Pickett lasting too long.
Okay, so you think they would go into the season with 2 rookies? So the rookie as the backup.
Flacco, Gabriel, and Shador. Yeah, why not?
Okay,
it's Browns.
Yeah, all right. Nobody watches them anyway, right? How about you, Josh? What are your thoughts? Who's gonna pull out that starting job there in Cleveland?
Neil hasn't nailed from a traditional NFL perspective about how things should go, because that is absolutely how 99% of NFL teams do this type of situation. But I will tell you, in a division where the other 3 teams have hope, you've got Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh, the Ravens are a juggernaut, and Cincinnati has some of the most dynamic offense in the league, and if they're healthy, they're going to be right there. The only thing the Cleveland Browns have to give, really, on offense especially, is hope. So while I agree with Neil that the right thing to do would be to start Flacco and ease Shador in, I don't think they're going to do that. I think Kenny Pickett will be gone before the end of August, and I think Shador will be starting, and Joe Flacco will be the mentor. And I don't think it's going to work out. I don't really think Shador has dynamic NFL talent, and so I think it's going to be underwhelming. But the fans are going to be clamoring for it every time that he throws a touchdown pass in training camp. Fans are going to be oohing and ahhing over it, and it's just going to be too much for the Cleveland Browns to do anything but start Shador Sanders week 1.
Oh, interesting. So you think Shador will leapfrog Dylan Gabriel, even though Gabriel was drafted higher than Shador?
I do. I think that they've put him 4th on their depth chart right now because they feel like they have to, but that ain't going to last the entire preseason.
All right, fair enough. I like the boldness with that pick. Brian, how about you? What are you thinking?
All right, I'm going to take a different take with that. Before I start, this is the most talked about QB division in all of NFL. You got Lamar Jackson in the Ravens. You got Aaron Rodgers, despite all the stuff, whether he still has it with Pittsburgh. You got obviously Joe Burrow, if he can learn to get past his slow starts in Cincinnati. But this is the Browns. Comedy Central revealed South Park, Beavis and Butthead, and Digman as their Comedy Wednesday line. Why don't they add the Cleveland Browns training camp to that? Because it's the Browns. I think I'm going to go with the oddball. And they still have Deshaun Watson. Has everyone forgotten about that guy who just robbed the Browns ownership of money? And he was better off when Joe Flacco took over and actually led that team to a playoff berth. Heck, they lost to Houston in the first round a few years ago, and now they no longer have Nick Chubb, so they're going to need to learn how to throw the ball. And people forget in garbage time, Kenny Pickett played in a Super Bowl game a season prior. If you didn't turn off the TVs, which was a surprising blowout between the Chiefs and the Eagles, Kenny Pickett got some playing time, and that could benefit the Browns or use them as trade leverage. And Joe Flacco should absolutely have the starting job. If you go through 2 years ago, if the Browns want to forget that last season even happened, it was the high point of that whole year. Yeah, they shouldn't have made it when in the Monday Night Football, Nick Chubb tore his ACL that year, and obviously he's on the Texans now, and he may not be the same, but hey, he played in Cleveland. They call it Factory of Sadness for a reason. I'd have to go with Shador will not start right away. It's gonna turn into a Brady Quinn situation years back where Derek Anderson did lead them to a playoffs, and they did struggle the year after because they played a tough schedule. And this is a division where any divisional game can be one possession. So I think the right thing to do would be go with Joe Flacco. Obviously, not start Shador Sanders from a guy who could have been first to 4 picks overall to fall all the way to not only day 1, not even day 2, but day 3 of the NFL draft. He must have pissed a lot of people off within the NFL, playing for his dad, getting all the media coverage for Colorado that usually wouldn't for that type of D1 school. And it definitely gone to his head. He just got a DUI arrest too. So I think the right thing to do was to give Joe Flacco a chance at the helm and see what they can do. But knowing the Browns, don't be surprised. I know people are going to laugh and create a bunch of memes that Deshaun Watson just gets the week 1 starting nod. He's still on the team. It's the Browns. Nothing makes sense with that team. And that's my answer.
All right. Is Deshaun Watson healthy? I thought he was injured.
No, he's not healthy. But you never know. They might throw him out there anyway.
Yeah, I think he re-aggravated whatever was broken.
Yeah. I was just trying to do a little Google search, and it says that
he's going to miss the whole year.
He's going to miss the whole year.
Yeah, he's not. They're not on the radar, but you never know with the Browns. As Brian said.
That's why I said.
Hey,
might have been hiding it the whole time.
Trying to get that first pick, I'll put him out there. All right. All right. Yeah. So I think so. It sounds like everybody's kind of in agreement there. Flacco should be the guy. Taryn just agreed with us on the Watson injury and stuff. So thanks, Taryn. All right. Let's go to the next position battle. So I know earlier this week the Giants said that Russell Wilson's going to be the starting quarterback. First of all, do you believe that? Or do you think somebody else is going to be named the starter week 1? Jackson Dart, Jameis Winston, Tommy DeVito. How do you think that's going to shake out? Brian, let's start with you again.
I think this is more obvious than the Browns one. Even though they drafted Jackson Dart in the first round, I think Russell Wilson does get the starting nod week 1. If this is his only opportunity to ever prove himself again, because he's not the same guy that he was in Seattle to lead that team. Granted, they have the Legion of Boom and one of the best defenses in 5 years in football with Cam Chancellor and Richard Sherman as a cornerback, but he doesn't have that luxury in the Giants. Maybe they do help from drafting Abdul Carter, a guy I thought was going to go to the Patriots. They don't have Saquon Barkley, which is going to haunt this Giants team a few years back. Giants fan probably painful of the Super Bowl that he just went to an arch rival and won a Super Bowl and broke a lot of records last year for the Philadelphia Eagles. But Jackson Dart, they really like him. They traded up to get him. I think he will start after 4 weeks. But Jameis Winston always finds a way to play ball, no matter where he lands. He was just on the Browns last year. He's the kind of guy that's very inconsistent. He can look like the best quarterback in the world one quarter and the worst quarterback the next. So he is probably going to get some playing time for the Giants.
Yeah, he completes a lot. He completes a lot of passes. Oh, sorry. I was going to say he completes a lot of passes. A lot of them are to the opponent, but they don't hit the ground. Yeah. So okay, I get that. Josh, let's go to you next.
So Russell Wilson's going to start week 1 because that's the right thing to do, and they didn't sign him to not play him. But I'm going to give you a hot take. By the end of the year, something will happen whereby Jackson Dart will not only be playing for the Giants, but there will be low-key buzz for Jackson Dart being Rookie of the Year by the end of this year. And I think in 5 years, everyone will look back on this draft and say Jackson Dart is the best quarterback in this class. I really like him. I was hoping that somehow his draft stock would fall enough that the Dolphins would draft him as a backup. We got Quinn Ewers, who I'm also okay with, given where we drafted him. But I think Jackson Dart is the best quarterback of the 2025 class. And I think once he gets on the field, Russell Wilson won't see the field again.
All right. So do you think the Steelers are regretting not drafting Jackson Dart when they had the opportunity?
I think there's going to be 31 other teams regretting not drafting Jackson Dart, to be honest. I mean, because even if you look at a team like, let's say, Buffalo or Kansas City, they had opportunities to draft him as a backup. Like, this kid is severely undervalued. He's got a strong arm. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's accurate. I really, really like Jackson Dart, and I think that he's going to surprise people when he gets on the field, and the Giants accidentally found an amazing player.
All right. Neil, how about you? What are your thoughts on the starting quarterback job with the Giants?
Yeah, I think it like they've said so far. I think it'll be Russell Wilson, just because the Giants are just dumb enough to do it. That's who they're going to lean into. I think Russell Wilson's time is past. It won't be long before you're going to hear the chance for Dart, and they're going to have to pull him. Winston may make an appearance in there. Like Brian said, he always finds his way onto the field, and he's a dynamic player. He can really light things up. He could get a couple wins. He might be able to hold off the Jackson Dart debut for a little while. But I think kind of like what Josh said there, I think by the end of the season, we'll see enough of Dart that the Giants will want to move forward with him, and we'll see him Dart going into next year. But this year, yeah, Giants continue to fumble their way through, and we'll see Wilson start the season off.
So are all three of you in agreement that Tommy DeVito is going to be the odd man out for the Giants?
Definitely.
Or I mean,
How is he still
I think,
on the roster?
He does
I
have
don't
an
even
age.
understand that.
well, the fans love him.
Oh, yeah. He's got the agent that looks like he could be in The Sopranos. So
Maybe that's
Right,
why
I
he
think
still has a job.
I was going to say that might be the only reason why he's left on the roster.
Yeah, they would be better served having an undrafted free agent as their fourth quarterback instead of Tommy DeVito.
All right. Here, let's go to another quarterback situation. The Indianapolis Colts. Now, I think we're all in agreement. I think that Anthony Richardson is going to start out the year as a starting quarterback. He was drafted super high overall, but they brought in Daniel Jones to compete for that starting spot. So, first of all, do you think it's going to be Richardson starting out the year? And do you think he's going to be? If it is, do you think he's going to have a short leash? Because of he's been pretty inconsistent when he has been healthy. Or am I wrong? Neil, why don't you go ahead and go first there?
Yeah, I think Richardson's definitely going to have a short leash, but I think with some time that he's had, I think he might impress a little bit here in the opening few games. We'll see how it goes. I don't know, but he's got to improve his, especially his short field accuracy and get his timing down. But as far as being a dynamic playmaker and getting out there and making things happen that a lot of our quarterbacks just can't do because of his size and his physicality and his athleticism. I think you will see him out there for a little while. But if those same issues with his accuracy, and especially last year with when he pulled himself out of the game for a couple of plays because he was tired, that kind of stuff shines through, or if he's just not cutting it in the practices and not showing up and putting in the work that he's supposed to be putting in, yeah, he'll definitely get pulled. Unfortunately for them, Daniel Jones is the next guy up, who even the Giants knew enough to cut their losses with. So it's not a good situation in Indy. It reminds me of being a Panthers fan 3 or 4 years ago when we were bouncing between Mayfield and PJ Walker, and we just could not figure out who to put behind center. It was not a good time.
Anybody I'll kind of throw this in there too. Riley Leonard being, do you think he'll end up being higher than number 3 on the depth chart?
Anyway. That's a good question. He definitely has what's the word we're looking for? Moxie and like that, like what you really want in a quarterback to step up. But you got another Duke guy backing up a Duke guy, so I'm going to go the Carolina route and say you're kind of hosed either way.
All right. Josh, what are your thoughts?
if I'm a wide receiver on the Indianapolis Colts, I'm asking for a trade today. Like, do you all remember? I know Brian remembers.
Ding, ding.
I know Brian remembers Cam Newton's time in New England. That's what this entire QB class reminds me of. They might be able to get a first down running up the middle and barreling over people, but their completion percentage is going to be nothing north of 45%. I don't understand what Indianapolis is doing. This might be the worst quarterback class going into camp that I've ever seen on an NFL roster, and that is hard to do. I feel bad for Big Mike. He already knows it. I know he does because I talked about it with him last week. It is a mess. Anthony Richardson can't complete a 5-yard out. Yes, he's big and strong, and he might be able to throw a 60-yard bomb that accidentally finds its way into his receiver's hands, but homie has no accuracy whatsoever, and Daniel Jones isn't that much better. These other two guys, maybe they show something, and for the sake of all of Indianapolis, I hope they do, because I don't see any pathway for the Indianapolis Colts to have a functioning passing game in 2025. To who's going to start? Anthony Richardson, because they wasted a first-round draft pick on him or whatever. What I don't get it at this point. He's the worst starting quarterback in the league, and it's not close.
Yeah, he was one that during that draft, and I know that the Vikings had conversations about trading up to get him because they were looking for a quarterback in that draft. And personally, I was like, no, I don't want anything to do with him because the completion percentage and everything. Like he didn't really start all that much in college. And now everything he's done, he's looked great for a few plays or a few games, but then he gets hurt. So anyway, let's get to Brian here. I want to hear your thoughts on this.
All right. As a New England insider and Patriots fan, obviously, I never thought we'd be in a question where the Indianapolis Colts have a quarterback battle in training camp going through the Brady Manning days. And even when Manning got injured and had a disastrous season, which led them to have another bad season to draft Andrew Luck, there was never any training camp battles for QB of the Indianapolis Colts until now. I think Anthony Richardson is very injury prone, and Josh brought a good point, which unfortunately 2020 was known for a global pandemic. Also, the worst quarterback play I've seen for the Patriots for the past 2 years until last year. The only strength was their quarterback, Drake May. But anyways, Anthony Richardson will have better weapons if he's given the chance. No one's talking about this, but if Richardson beats out Daniel Jones, the big X factor for this is going to be if Jonathan Taylor can stay healthy. He was picked 3 years ago. He had a great rookie season in second year, which he was number 1 overall in 90% of fantasy football leagues 3 years back. And he got injured and he had a terrible season. Last year he played well, but he got hurt too. But they got receivers that have potential. But Michael Pittman Jr. might be the biggest disappointment for fantasy owners last year, as he only had like one catch. He did score touchdowns, but only when he had one catch for 2 yards. And then the next game, a catch for 6, and then 2 receptions for 11 yards. That's not acceptable. Yeah, they got Josh Downs as a deep threat. Maybe he'll want to trade to add to Josh. If you were a receiver for the Colts, I'd request a trade right now. But what might help Daniel Jones is the rookie the Giants drafted last year from LSU, Malik Neighbors. Even though Jones didn't play every game, he did throw. Neighbors did have some good stats. No one's talking about it because Giants QB has been very bad play. And Brock Bowers, the tight end, broke the rookie record that Neighbors would have had if it wasn't for the Brock Bowers of the Las Vegas Raiders, who had a great year. So I do think Richardson starts week 1, but his leash is going to be very short, especially Jonathan Taylor isn't a top 10 fantasy running back. But if I were them, I'd probably start with Richardson, and then if they struggle. But it's the AFC South. You have a chance for second place no matter how bad you are, because Houston Texans C.J. Stroud is going to, and Tank Dell and Nico Collins is going to be the number 1 in that division, even though Travis Hunter went to Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence is another one, but if it wasn't for how bad his QB class was, people would be talking about his dip in the performances as well. And you got Cam Ward starting for Tennessee, which they don't really have an offensive identity since they let Derrick Henry go. So the fact that they're in the AFC South might help Richardson, because you got to fight for second place in that one of the worst divisions in all of NFL. And that's my answer. I do think Richardson starts week 1.
All right. Yes. And I'm in agreement there. I think Richardson will, but and you make a great point about the AFC South outside of the Texans. Although Tank Dill, I don't know that he's going to be back or anything close to what he was before he got injured last year. He was on my fantasy team, so when he went down with that knee injury, it looked really scary. So anyway, but let's move on since we were talking about Jacksonville Jaguars. Travis Hunter, do you think he's going to be playing full-time offense and defense for the Jaguars? Brian, why don't you start us out?
All right. This is the one guy we're talking about. I just mentioned him a little while ago. When I say the worst victory in New England sports history was this year, Week 18 against a Bills team that tanked the game on purpose to give Gerard Mayo a win. Guy.
Oh,
Brian froze up.
Very badly.
Oh, there we go. We got you back.
Because maybe I'm right about this. Obviously, I love that we drafted Will Campbell, but obviously with the success of Shohei Ohtani and the Dodgers playing both pitcher and bat, and obviously his injury keeps him from being in the starting lineup till this Sunday against my Red Sox, they're going to probably help Travis Hunter's cause to play offensive and defense. And he's a big risk in your fantasy drafts this year, because if he plays both and gets a lot of playing time doing both, do you get a reception for a pick 6? Well, they're going to have to figure that out on those apps real fast, because if he's really good, this is a steal. But if he doesn't get a lot of playing time because he wants to play too, it's a definition of gambling, because he's either going to have his stock really up or really down, because he makes his intention of being a two-way player. He did win the Heisman for the Coach Prime and Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes. He's a Heisman winner. Obviously, I really wanted him on the Patriots, and I am happy with Will Campbell because we really needed a lineman, but that's why a lot of people were upset that we won. We went from the number 1 overall pick to number 4 for winning that game and cost us out of the Travis Hunter sweepstakes. But I do think it all depends on the coach of the Jaguars, because he's got to be all elite with an ownership that's idiotic. So I think he will play both full-time offense and defense, but
that's going to be a lot of plays, figuring 120 to 130 snaps, 60 to 65 per game by each offense. That could be a lot, but he did it in college. I think we'll see. Anyway, what do you think, Josh?
I'm going to give you some comfort, Brian. There's an old proverb: you can't serve 2 masters. And in the NFL, it's not the University of Colorado. There's more to going two-way than just I'm the most athletically gifted person on the field, and so I can do whatever I want. The NFL doesn't work that way. Everyone's talented, and there's only so much you can do in a game plan week and so many meetings you can go to be effective at 2 positions, specifically a cornerback position where it requires a lot of synergy with the rest of your defense. And then you need timing with your quarterback as a wide receiver. And I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are playing a really dangerous game with Travis Hunter by indulging him in his hubris and saying, yeah, we think you can be really, really good in the NFL at both of these things. Only one person's ever really tried it in the modern NFL, and granted, it was his coach in college. But even then, Deion Sanders played a very limited role on offense. He basically only ran 9 routes. He did not work. He was not Jamar Chase in 1990. He did one thing, and he did it a few times a game, and he played cornerback at an elite level. And if Travis Hunter doesn't figure out where his money is made and stick to that and learn that position at an elite level really quickly, he could find himself watered down to the point where he's neither a good cornerback nor a good wide receiver. And the Jacksonville Jaguars got to be very careful about how they handle this. I think he's better positioned as a cornerback, but I think they're treating him like a receiver first and a cornerback second because that's where the money is. I don't think that's smart because they have one of the best receivers in the league right now in Brian Thomas, and they should be featuring him offensively and not Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter should be the next Patrick Surtain II. He should be the best cornerback in the NFL. And I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are potentially ruining this kid's career by allowing him to dictate that he's going to play both sides.
All right, that's a great point. Neil, you got anything else to add to this, or where are your thoughts with Travis Hunter?
Yeah, I don't know if he'll go full time on both sides of the ball, but I do think he will be playing a significant amount of time on both sides of the ball. And kind of to your point, Josh, you got a number one wide receiver in Brian Thomas already, so you don't need Travis Hunter to be an elite number one wide receiver. You need him to be a very good number two to take a little bit of pressure off Thomas. On the defensive side, he can focus a little bit more over there, but he can play and he can play back very well. So I think he can play both sides of the ball. Probably not to every snap on both sides, but most players don't play every snap already. He talked about himself the fact that between college and pro football, in pro football you actually have a lot more breaks for media timeouts than you do at the college level. All the pro football games are being televised. At Colorado, you didn't always have that. So he had a lot faster turnaround at the college level than he will have at the NFL level. So there's a little bit of time there to, kind of recruit, catch your breath, get ready for the next thing. I agree to an extent that, playing on defense, especially playing in a secondary, requires, a certain level of synchronization and being in sync with the rest of the secondary there. But I think he's got the talent and he can got the athleticism. Now, obviously, as this goes on, he's going to get to a point where he won't be able to maintain both of them. But I think, especially now, he's a young guy. I think he can keep up. I think he can do it. I think he's got the juice to get it done.
Awesome. Yeah, I think he. In my opinion, I think he's got the physical ability to play both. But I can't remember who it was that brought it up. But I think it was Josh. The film study that takes place during the week is much different in the pros than it is in college. In college, you have classes. There's basic things that you go through. But at the pro level, they're in the DB room where they're going through coverages and it's all orchestrated with the rest of the defense. And same thing with offense. They're going to be focusing on film for the defense and how are they going to attack the defenses. There's only so many hours of film study during the week to go through. So great answers all around though, guys. This will be our last segment, and this will be the last question we go through, and then we'll turn all you guys loose for the night. So this one, being an NFC North guy, looking at the Green Bay Packers wide receiver depth chart, how's it going to look when we get to day one? Because they seem to have 5 number 2 or number 3 receivers on the team. They've got let's see. So thinking about last year's team, they had Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, Dontavian Wicks, and who am I missing? Jaden Reed. Okay, all really good players. Add Matthew Golden to that, and they even Bo. What's his name? Gosh, I can't think of his name now. Bo Melton. Sorry, Bo Melton is a wide receiver that they drafted last year. He's being converted to corner. So they have all of these wide receivers. Who's going to actually be getting the playing time? How are they going to make it all work there in Green Bay? Neil, do you want to start? Do you have any thoughts about that?
Sure, I'll try to kick it off here. So I would say your guess is as good as mine to start. Like you said, you got a handful of talented guys here, most of them pretty young. A lot of them, I think, really ideally suited to that number 2 role. But you've also got Matt LaFleur, who has said like he has no number 1. He doesn't see it as like here, this is my number 1, this is my number 2. He looks at everybody as being competitive and almost a kind of Moneyball situation and making up the receptions and the scoring opportunities in the aggregate. So as long as you have 3 or 4 high performing, maybe not the highest standout number 1 performing receivers, but 3 or 4 very high performing receivers, as long as one gets open on any given play, you've got a quarterback in Jordan Love who I think is capable enough to get the ball to the receiver for any given play or drive where it will work out. So I think they've gone with let's just have some talented players on the field. We won't have one person that the defense can focus on, and they'll have to account for 3 receivers versus just the 1.
Okay, Josh, what are your thoughts?
I largely agree with Neil. I mean, I'm a Dolphins fan. I have the ultimate me guy in Tyreek Hill on my team, and I see the amount of difficulty that he puts under the rest of the team because he needs his targets. And you've seen this diva receiver thing happen throughout the years that can really break a team down, where the rest of the receivers are deferring and the quarterback feels obligated to throw to a certain guy. I really love this scenario for the Green Bay Packers. There's a lot of talent. You go down the list there. You got Jaden Reed, McColt Hardman, Dontavian Wicks, Matthew Golden, Romeo Dobbs. Like, these are all good players. And you can rotate them. You can keep them healthy throughout the game. And there's no one there that's got such a big ego that you're going to think that you have to get them you have to feed them their targets to make the rest of the offense work. No, you throw 3 or 4 of those receivers out there, and it doesn't matter who gets the ball. They're going to be fine. So the defense isn't going to be able to key in and eliminate one guy. Do you have top-end talent? No. But do you need that from a receiver corps? I don't think so. I think it really makes sense for the Packers, and it kind of fits their whole mystique that it's all team and it's not about the individual. So I think the Packers are in an enviable spot in the NFL. Do they have a top 5 wide receiver? No. But they have options, and they can go deep. And so they can have fresh guys in the 3rd and 4th quarter. I think it's great. I think Matthew Golden and Jaden Reed are the best receivers on the team. Probably Jaden Reed's the best receiver on the team, but the difference is very slim. So it doesn't really matter.
Okay. Brian, what are your thoughts?
This is a team where I know people that talk to me that are avoiding drafting Texans running backs and Packers receivers in their season-long fantasy drafts this year, because these are guys that can have great games. One guy can have 60 catches for over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, and the other guy can have 1 catch for 0 yards. But one guy that strikes me, obviously they had to draft Matthew Golden because he did really well for Texas this year, as Texas did beat Clemson in the college football playoff. He's a second Big 12 team in one of the final before they transferred to the SEC. And he's going to be the deep guy like Devontae Adams was for Aaron Rodgers for the Cheeseheads, because Jordan Love is a great quarterback, don't get me wrong, but these guys are the exact opposite of what you are talking about, Josh, with Tyreek Hill, and what you hope to see, Neil, with McMillan of the Panthers, who they drafted for. Do you want Golden to be the top guy? Because Christian Watson was supposed to be that guy, but he's very injury prone, like Joel Embiid from the Sixers. They got you can snap a pencil. And this is a division where you want this star wide. You want these guys to break out, because you got an NFC North that has the sun god, Amon-Ra St. Brown of the Lions, and one of the best receivers, Justin Jefferson, on your team, the Vikings. They also have Addison, who's really good too, as you know, Glenn. But Wicks is the guy who's kind of like what Deebo Samuel did in the 49ers. He can run. He can catch balls, too. He's kind of like their slot receiver a little bit, like Edelman was for Brady. But Romeo Doubs does have some good moments, but he doesn't always get the targets. And I think Golden's going to step up. And I would try to trade Christian Watson if I were them, because this is a very crowded Green Bay wide receiver corp, which is very unpredictable. I would stay away from drafting any of them in your season-long fantasy, especially where no one talks about, because you think of Kittle, you think of Andrews and Kelsey for tight ends, and Bowers, who had a breakout year. You have Tucker Kraft, who's become Jordan Love's favorite target as a tight end over there for the green and gold. So, and the Packers are a team that could be elite. They could be 8-9. You don't know with this team. And the wide receiver group is very unpredictable. So I think they are going to try to trade Watson if they was smart, and they are going to try to make a Golden start off as a wide receiver 3, but he'll work his way to a wide receiver 1 by the end of the year. And Wicks will be their 2 guy, and Dobbs will be their 3 by the time the end of the year happens.
Yeah. All right. Great. Great insight on all of those guys. I really appreciate that. I think, in my personal opinion, part of the issue that I see for the Packers, and maybe this is my hatred of the Packers as a Vikings fan, but sometimes a quarterback needs a dependable number 1 to throw the ball to. So when it's a tough situation, he knows that guy's going to get open. Like Aaron Rodgers did with Devontae Adams. He always was able to throw a ball to him because he knew where he was going to be. And last year, I was just watching the Insiders before we jumped on, and they were talking about how I think the Packers had wide receivers had some of the most number of drops last year. And I think sometimes you get a little bit of that inconsistency when players don't. You have 5 guys that can get open, but are they all going to be in rhythm without getting a regular look? So just my opinion there. So anyway, thanks so much for joining, guys. I really appreciate that. I do have to say that we have a winner. Sorry, I didn't. I got to edit this here real quick because I'm going to throw in the name. And it is Josh. Great job. I had some really good takes. I loved, the comment about if you're Colts wide receiver, just trade me. Just had some great answers there. You guys all had some great takes. So I really appreciate that. But again, got our first winner of the season, and it's not just because you have the same last name as me. Anyway, thanks so much for joining. Guys, real quick, why don't you each go around and just share with everybody again how they can watch you and listen to you and check out your shows. Brian, why don't you jump in first?
All right, so keep an eye out for a lot of shorts this week coming up. I still got to get my training camp short for the Patriots. There is the biggest competitive for their training camp is their wide receiver core, which includes former Bill and Vikings Stephon Diggs. And we got a rookie watching Kyle Williams. We also got the NBA schedule coming out. I will make some shorts because the NBA has a brand new TV deal that is going to be so confusing, but I'll try to get the best Celtics games possible. Got Bruins starting, but we got a big series. And my new show, along with LA Insider, Terran Rodriguez, which Glenn, your host on Thursday nights, was nice enough to step in last minute and host. We're going to preview the best games, kind of like a game of the week. It isn't always going to be the best. It depends on our insider availability. But we're going to try and bring you NFL games in the fall, some college football, definitely baseball for the rest of August. We did Dodgers and Red Sox. How ironic we were able to do our pilot episode with that big series going on, including Kershaw versus Crochet on nationally televised on Fox. I am excited. You can follow me at IESA_New England and my personal at BMadDog617, the area code of Boston. So that's where you can find me, folks, and give all your insiders, watch their shorts, keep an eye on, help IE Sports Radio grow. It's a great program. I love being a part of this. So back to you guys.
All right. Thanks, Brian. Yeah. How about you, Neil? How can folks find you and where are you at?
So coming in and out as a regional insider for Carolina sports. can find me on Twitter. My personal is at UNC Navy 03. And then, of course, IESR _Carolina for the official IESR Sports Carolina update handle. I'll be coming in with some shorts here. It's a little slower for the Carolinas in the summer, but we got a lot of good soccer stuff. We got some minor league baseball as well. But then once August and the fall settles in, we're going to have a lot of college football, a lot of pro football, and then eventually, of course, college basketball. Again, Carolinas, that's where it's at. I know it was born in Kansas, but it grew up and became the real deal in the Carolinas.
Awesome. All right, and then our winner, Josh. Where can all the IESR fans find you?
Yeah, so you can see me on the IESR pages for Florida and Arizona. Mostly those two pages I post to for the teams that I follow. My personal account is at Josh Ritter 13. So you can find me there on Twitter. You can also find me on TikTok at Josh _Ritter 57, where I post all of my videos as well. And daily updates on the Miami Dolphins training camp progress as they go. So I'll be posting pretty much every day throughout the football season. Whatever's going on with the Dolphins, you'll hear about it. Also, if there's updates on the Suns or the Panthers throughout the offseason, and then we'll be gearing up for them in September with the training camps as well. So we'll be busy over here. But yeah, check me out.
Awesome. Thanks. And for me, Glenn Ritter, I'm the Minnesota Insider, so you can find me on Twitter at IESR _Minnesota, or my personal handle is Gritter13, so GRITTER 13. That's my personal handle, so you can check me out there. But otherwise, every Thursday night, 7 o'clock Central, I'll be back doing this Fourth and Fun show again. So thanks so much for tuning in. Guys, thanks so much for joining me, and I really appreciate it. Thanks, guys, and have a great week. And remember, make sure to tune in, IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Later, guys.
Thanks.
Oh.